and my prayers to the people who have to endure Hurricane Helen, that had to go through that lost everything. Y'all know that hurricane heavily affected Tampa Bay, Florida, and now they're having to deal with Milton right in behind that. So I've seen so many YouTube videos of people getting online with everything that they could grab in their car, and they lost every single thing. And what's really disappointing to me is that if you are reading the post about the updates online, people are making this a political issue, and I don't understand it. I think people really have like a mental illness. I really do. You have people who have lost everything they ever worked for. If they have a home and they didn't have updated homeowners insurance, or they didn't have flood insurance, because you can have homeowners insurance and not flood insurance, then they lost everything, right? And a lot of Floridians have a hard time getting insurance because a lot of the insurance providers are pulling out of Florida because of all of the natural disasters, the flooding, and then on top of that, the scams. So a lot of providers don't want to insure Floridians to begin with. And then on top of that, you have people who probably put everything they had into buying a house. Think of the people who like have been paying off on their houses for like 20 years or 25 years, and they only had like another 5 years left on their mortgage payments. And people are already struggling. And I understand that there was a bill that was in Congress that was going to give FEMA more funds that the Republicans voted against, right? And I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, well, that's those people's faults in Florida. They always vote red. They always vote all these red states. They always vote for Republicans, and then the Republicans don't want to give them any funds for release for natural disasters." And first of all, you don't know who individual people who are affected voted for. Let's start there. So there are probably plenty of people who were affected by the storm who voted blue. I'm going to use the colors because I don't want to get my video tagged, because YouTube censors very heavily during election season. And not only that, if you're still in 2024 arguing along party lines, doing this, which party is better than the other party, you are a child that's speaking on big boy games. Because at the end of the day, the power structure of the blues and the reds, they all agree on green money. These people hang out together. They're friends behind closed doors. They go golfing together. They talk to each other on the phone. They have backdoor meetings. And what y'all don't understand about the game that is played in politics is, hey, Jamal, good to see you here. We're talking about the politics of Hurricane Milton right now, and how you got a lot of Dems online, I'm saying blue and red, but y'all know the difference between the party. You got a lot of blue people online right now bashing Floridians who are already going through a terrible time, having to evacuate or not even being able to afford to evacuate and losing everything that they had, sitting up calling Floridians dumb and saying it's their fault because they vote for the Reds who vote against FEMA funds. So I'm going back to this game of politics because I was talking to this girl online about it, and the woman had the nerve to call me uneducated and told me that I need to go read a book because I told her, this is not a blue versus red thing. This is a game. And what she didn't know is I have a degree in political science. I have a degree in this, right? And not only do I have a degree in it, I was the person in college who I didn't just want to study what the university was teaching us. I I studied Eastern politics. I actually went and read the Communist Manifesto. So when people who don't know the difference between communism and totalitarianism try to tell me to go read a book because I disagree with them, or I understand the mechanics and the way the game of politics is played, then it's laughable, right? But you got these people who sit up and they don't understand. A lot of the times when you have bills that are brought to the House floor, or, because all the bills originate in the House and then they go to the Senate, a lot of the times these are the games these politicians play. For example, the Reds might put a bill in there, like something in the bill. Let's say it was going to be on the funding of Medicaid or healthcare or something like that. They might put something in the bill that is like, okay, well, this is good for everybody, right? But then they sneak all this other stuff in there to where when the blues go read it, they're like, okay, yeah, we agreed with the main part of the bill, but you put all this other stuff in there that we're not going to go for. That way, nothing gets passed and we can both point the finger at each other. And it's on purpose, guys. It's so both parties can avoid accountability. It's so one party can point the finger at the other and say, they didn't vote for this, and this is why you're going through this. And then when those other issues that they snuck into the bill get brought up, they can say, well, they voted against the bill that had XYZ in it. When in all reality, if either party cared about funding FEMA, they would vote on it as a standalone bill. They would bring a bill to the floor that only talked about FEMA, that didn't have anything in it that they know the other party is not going for, and they would vote on it. But they don't do that, guys. And I need y'all to understand your enemy. It is not each other. These people do this on purpose. So a lot of people, they feed into it, they buy into it, and then when you have people's real lives being affected, instead of looking up and looking at the people who are causing these things to happen, y'all want to blame, not y'all that I'm talking to, my audience, but people want to blame the little people. Know your enemy. I go back to the Hunger Games all the time when Katniss kept reminding herself, or other people kept reminding her in the movie, know your enemy, because we get so busy and distracted arguing amongst each other that we don't even see when the wool is getting pulled over our heads or we're getting robbed. Because guess what? These same people, they don't seem to not be able to pass any bills or not come to any agreements when it's time to send funds overseas. Because if you ask them about sending money to a particular country, it starts with an I. I'm not going to say the name because, again, YouTube and censorship, but y'all know where I'm talking about. When it comes to sending that country billions and billions of dollars, nobody has a problem. They can all agree. Go figure, you in here. Oh, thank you. That was sweet of you. I like that good people don't even look up stuff. They just drink the Kool-Aid. Yeah, they just drink the Kool-Aid, right? Or they get so caught up in only reading or listening to people that they agree with, and then have the nerve to go tell everybody else, go educate yourself. You know what's crazy? I enjoy speaking to people that don't have an education sometimes, like that never went to a college or university, about socioeconomic issues, because they see things more simplified, right? And that's not always a bad thing, right? When you are looking at something from a common sense perspective versus a narrative, a lot of the times you're going to see something clearer than somebody who is so-called educated. And I'm not saying education and understanding the mechanics of things and how they actually work is bad, but when education is used to indoctrinate you to the point where the indoctrination is more important than the truth, getting to the root of the matter, looking at what is happening right in front of you, and when it's more important than individual people in their lives, then it becomes a problem. Hey, Olivia. What's up, sis? Glad to see you here. Yes, y'all follow me on TikTok at Thepassportsis. That channel, and I have a YouTube channel called Thepassportsis. That's focused more on my experiences living abroad, living in Colombia, being from the United States, and my travel experience. Guys, they're already decorating for Christmas here in Medellin, like in Envigado. I live in like a suburb of Medellin, but it's still like way more city than a suburb in the United States. Like the neighborhoods, it's like a city, to be honest. It's just a southern municipality. They already got their Christmas decorations up and they're putting up more. Yes, y'all, if y'all want to bless me with the donation, the Cash App is at Mariah Sincere. I only have like 700 more watch hours to go before my super chat button can go live. Yes, thank you so much, Skinny Boy. Yes, that's the most important thing. Y'all hit the like button. So again, I just wanted to, I know I went on a long rant about that, but I think that was important and it needs to be said. So let's have some compassion for these people. I saw the mayor of Tampa Bay, Florida, go on CNN, and I would pull it up, but again, censorship. But she flat out said, if you stay and you choose not to evacuate, you are going to be unalived. And I've never heard a politician say anything even remotely close to that during a hurricane. I've heard them say, oh, it's going to be dangerous. I've seen them do mandatory evacuations, but I've never heard a politician flat out go on the news and say, you're all going to be alive. And I'm grateful that she said that. A lot of people were upset that she said that, but it seems like people seem to think it's a game until you take it there. Sometimes people need to get afraid and get scared. And what Floridians have working against them, especially if you spent several hurricane seasons in Florida, is after a while you get used to it. It's like the boy that cried wolf. So especially if been there, you wrote it out. I remember Skinny Boy was telling me like they take pride in writing it out, which in most cases that probably works. But then when you have a storm, this is said to be the worst storm in recorded history, the worst hurricane. So when you have something like that coming your way, you gotta treat that differently. You gotta act like it's the first time. You gotta have a little fear. You might be able to put up clips if you speed it up. Okay, I'm going to, I need to figure out how to do that. Y'all, I am technologically illiterate. That's why it's taking me so long to really kind of get in a YouTube swing of things, y'all, because I am terrible with certain technologies. Hurricane season isn't close to being over. We still have a month left. That is awful. And y'all had two hurricanes back to back. And I really worry also about, I have friends that live in St. Thomas. Like, it's every hurricane season, I worry about them. Then I got my subscribers now, my YouTube fam that is in Florida. Binky's in Florida. So yes, you always kind of worry about people during these times. Floridians are crazy. We throw hurricane parties. I know something is wrong with y'all. We've been said something ain't right in the water. I saw a Florida man. He was fine too. He jumped inside of a swamp and grabbed a baby alligator out the swamp. I said, boy, them Florida boys, they build a little different. Okay, they build a little different. And then y'all got to understand, in Florida is full of island people. So if y'all ever been on an island, then island people, like, I love St. Thomians. They are the most hospitable people ever, but they get crossed real quick. And if they wake up on the wrong side of the bed that day, somebody getting cussed out, period. Like, they cuss people out, but then they let it go. It's done. They could be happy the next minute. Then on top of that, Florida has Cubans. Florida has St. Thomians. Florida has Jamaica. And then Haitians. We ain't gonna talk about them Haitians because I don't want nobody to go to Haiti on me. So I'm gonna keep their name out my mouth. Okay. So yeah, Florida built different. Okay. And if you knew the history of Florida, I loved it when I used to teach it in US history. But if you knew the actual history of how Florida came to be what it was today, you would understand like it's the movie type stuff. There has not been enough movies made about Florida. Okay, so right now we're gonna go on TikTok and we're gonna look at a couple videos of some people who have chosen to stay during the storm. Let me share my page. Again, if you're just coming in, please hit the like button. Also, I would love it if you participate in the comment section.
It is 5:10.
Okay. This is Angie B __ on TikTok. She said the title is Hurricane Milton. I did not.
I can't sleep. Anxiety through the roof. So I don't know. The storm supposed to touch down, but Bayshore is already at waist level. That's not good. Um, the storm haven't even got close, and it's already at waist level. So that is definitely a bad sign. That means when the storm do get here, all that's gonna be extremely high and extremely flooded. The area I'm in, they told us to have enough food for 3 days, enough water for 3 days to survive without power. I will say if we go without power, I'm gonna try to do like a barbecue maybe in my backyard. I do got a lot of water. I did put.
I don't know what's wrong with TikTok today. Let me refresh. Okay, so until that loads, I'm going to tell y'all. So I was watching Kim Iverson on YouTube and I love her, y'all. If y'all are not subscribed to Kim Iverson, go subscribe to her. She's a mixed lady. She's like Vietnamese and white, and she's been doing this news anchor thing on independent news here on YouTube as well as Rumble.
5:10.
Hold on, guys. I'm gonna pause this. But she was talking about how like it's really dangerous what the blues are promoting. Mind you, she's an independent, so she doesn't really have an agenda here. She calls herself politically homeless. She takes things issue by issue, but right now we're hearing a lot of talk about climate change, and climate change is causing this increase in these natural disasters. To that, I'm gonna leave that alone because I don't know enough information, to be honest. I've heard both sides, but I don't feel comfortable speaking on that. But with that said, you have a lot of initiatives that are going on. Like, for example, in California, they have completely banned gas stoves. So if you already have a gas stove, you can keep it. But if it goes out, you would have to replace it with an electric stove. Why that is dangerous is because in incidents like this, in a storm or you have some type of natural disaster happening and the power goes out, then you're not going to be able to like heat your food or cook anything or, manually light a gas stove. So a lot of people will use gas stoves during natural disasters because it will work if your power is out. So it makes it harder for you to survive in a situation where you have to go without electricity. So in places like California, they've completely banned gas stoves. And I believe by the year, I might be incorrect about this. I can't recall, but I think it's by the year 2023, they will have completely banned gas cars. Okay, but the problem with that is if you don't have immediate access to an electrical source, you're not going to be able to power your car. And then on top of that, these electric cars have a lot of issues with them. Like, for example, if the battery goes out in a Tesla, you're going to have to spend like $30,000 just to replace it. So it's not as efficient or economical, and it's not as beneficial to people as they are trying to make it seem. Like, this comes with a lot of drawbacks, especially during emergency situations. Those islanders are mostly in South Florida. Okay, yeah, that's true. They are. I was watching another channel and she's from South Carolina and she said they had hurricane parties. Yeah, Floridians are something else, man. But you gotta love people that are crazy like that and live on the edge. Tropical storm Leslie is on its way to the Caribbean. Yeah, I mean, it's sad. And if y'all been the same time as y'all already know, they play with their power way too much. So their electric company, their electric provider, WAPA, baby, they cut off that power every opportunity they get. Last time I went to St. Thomas, this was in June during my birthday week. We had to have like rolling blackouts there. So luckily the Airbnb that I was staying at had a power generator, and most people on the island will have a power generator, but it still sucks. That's why a lot of St. Thomians will like move to Florida, because it's like, okay, we're getting tired of these power outages and it's more opportunities for work. No, they have hurricane parties in the Carolinas too. Just obviously not this year. It's a category 5. I could not imagine Texas people having a party for any type of natural disaster. We get scary, especially like if it's snow. Oh, when snow dots the floor in Texas, you all hell breaks loose. Okay, people are not going to work. They're calling in. Um, if snow touches the ground, I don't step foot out of my door for any reason. We treat snow like a natural disaster in Texas. You ain't lying about St. Thomas. Yeah, it's struggle, baby, but I love it.
And I can't sleep. Anxiety through the roof. So I don't know. The storm supposed to touch down, but Bayshore is already at waist level. That's not good. Um, the storm haven't even got close, and it's already at waist level. So that is definitely a bad sign. That means when the storm do get here, all that's gonna be extremely high and extremely flooded. The area I'm in, they told us to have enough food for 3 days, enough water for 3 days to survive without power. I will say if we go without power, I'm gonna try to do like a barbecue maybe in my backyard. I do got a lot of water. I did put water in the freezer, so if my power go out, I could throw out in the sink to keep it like good and cold. I got bread, meat. Um, y'all, I'm so scared. My anxiety is up to here. I cannot
Mm.
sleep. I cannot rest. I'm overthinking. I am ready for this to be done and over. And then I think me seeing the reporter cry is like just top tier for me. I got 3 children. I do got their life jackets. We are ready to survive. And I'm just in mama mode right now, bitch. Like, I'm gonna have to make sure these kids is okay.
I feel so bad for her, and a lot of people will look at people like this and say, why didn't you evacuate? But it might have been a situation where they didn't realize the seriousness of the situation until it was too late. And if y'all weren't watching the news yesterday, the highways were gridlocked. So it was hard to get out anyway. Or the lady said she has 3 children. So a lot of the times people do not have money. And I know that there are shelters, but shelters can only hold a certain capacity. And from what a lot of Floridians were saying on social media, a lot of the hotels in that area, a lot of the hotels in areas where people were evacuating to were jacking the prices up. You know, some were offering discounts, but a lot were jacking up the price. So she might not have been able to afford to both evacuate, get a hotel room, and then have enough food for her children to eat. The sad thing is, though, that once FEMA comes into that area, a lot of those houses are going to be condemned. So even if you did stay and you did survive, a lot of the times these people are going to get out their have to get out their houses anyway. They're not going to be allowed to stay. property taken, house taken, everything taken, just like they did in Katrina. That's why a lot of those people never returned back. They didn't have anything to go back to. And in a lot of cases, the government said you can't come back here. And water damage is a different type of damage. Like once your house is water damaged from a flood, there's not too much you can do about that. Okay, let's get back to the comments. A lot of us don't evacuate. We go to places like our local high schools until the storm blows over. Okay, okay. Again, guys, thank you all for being here. Please hit the like button if you are watching. Yeah. And again, I think in most cases that will probably work. I'm really afraid. I'm afraid for this lady and her children. The great thing is they have life jackets. Okay. Another thing about Florida, and y'all correct me because there might not be gators in Tampa Bay, but I would be so afraid that during a storm and those waters rising that, let's say you do have a life jacket on and you like fall into some water or you get caught up in the water and you can swim, you got your life jacket on, you can survive, but now you're in a water, like now you're in water full of gators. So that's another thing that Floridians might have to worry about. I might be wrong about that. Okay, you might as well be in a sea full of sharks. At Highway 20, but what happens when it's above a category 3? Oh, so you're asking Skinny Boy, like, what do Floridians do when it's above a category 3? Yeah, I'm interested to know that as well. Okay. I got a couple more videos that we're going to watch and then we're going to move on. Okay, this says stubborn influencer refuses to evacuate Hurricane Milton.
Die. It's zone.
This is from the Daily Mail on TikTok.
A mandatory evacuation. Listen, I didn't evacuate. I can't drive, first of all. Second of all, the airport is closed. Third of all, the last time I evacuated for a hurricane, I went to my mom's house in Northport. Her whole street flooded and we were evacuated after 3 days without power and food or running water by the US military. It was very traumatic. And so I don't want to evacuate to my mom's house because the last time I did that, it was the worst time ever. I'm going to die. It's zone A, mandatory evacuation. Listen, I didn't evacuate.
Okay, so she's basically saying she don't want to deal with the hassle. She don't want to evacuate and then it be something else inconvenient. Now, this is a situation where she's not saying she can't afford to evacuate. She's just saying I don't want to deal with it. Everybody has a right to decide for themselves. It's their body, it's their life. I'm assuming she's a single woman. If I had the means to evacuate, even though it might be inconvenient, I would try to evacuate to an area that would seemingly not be affected by floodwaters. So maybe not her mom's house, but she probably could have went somewhere else. So yeah, I don't understand that kind of thinking. Again, that's just getting way too comfortable when people are saying this is the worst storm in recorded history. Okay, and this lady was giving live updates.
It's 9 a.m.
This is
and shit is looking dicey to start.
I'm sorry, guys. This is Morgan Ruse 96 on TikTok.
Okay, I decided not to evacuate. I live on the 11th floor of a high-rise building. I'm in the heart of downtown. You know what they say? Run from the water, hide from the wind. Water ain't coming up 200 feet, so I decided to stay. But since I am staying, I thought I would give you guys like a boots on the ground live update of what's happening for the next 48 hours, okay? So let me show you what I'm working with right now. So right out there, right behind those buildings, that's the bay. And right here is the river walk, obviously. I don't know if y'all can see all the way over there. There's markings where it says where the water's at. So it says 10, 12, and 14, and it's below the 14. And if you can see, all the water is being sucked backwards out towards the bay, which means we are just going to get absolutely fucking shit on. I was here 2 weeks ago for Helene, and the water was coming up all the way. It covered the river walk right around here. So if they're saying 10 to 15 feet surges, I would not be shocked if it fills this entire parking lot, honestly. I'm now on the rooftop of my building showing y'all what it looks like from like a bird's eye view looking down. So obviously this is the Hillsborough River that leads out into the bay.
Okay,
This
I wanna pause this too. I watched both documentaries that Spike Lee did on Hurricane Katrina, and I watched another documentary that was here on YouTube that was really good. Hopefully, I can find it again. But a lot of people during Katrina, like that were like in the French Quarter and things like that, were saying like for a long time they didn't even see any water on the ground, or the flooding wasn't even that bad, right? And then those levee busts, and then all of a sudden things got really crazy really quick, So I said that to say, just because things look calm right now or doesn't seem like it's going to get that bad doesn't mean that it's not. There are varying factors, and things could go from okay to really terrible really quickly.
This right here is Davis Island that got messed up 2 weeks ago by Helene. Right in front of it, this tiny little like dot, that's Tampa General on Davis Island. This is the bay. You can see the storm starting to roll in. This is all going to be flooded without a doubt. So as the storm progresses, I'll show you guys updates as we go. It's 9 a.m. here in Tampa, and shit is looking dicey.
I'm going to look on her channel and see if she has another update. Hopefully she does. Okay, so this is at 11:45
from Tampa Bay. I am standing here on the river walk, as y'all can see, and this is what the river currently looks like. I don't like this. The water is moving backwards into the bay. And hold on, let me flip the camera. So right here, I don't know if normally it's up in between like the 10 and 12 mark. That is down, if I was to like say, by 16, which means what goes out is gonna come back in, which means to me, this is the Straz Center, which is like I don't know, they do like plays and shit there. I don't know. All this water is probably, this is going to be gone. This is going to be completely fucking underwater. But this right here, I would not be shocked if it goes up on the street. And hold on. Let me show y'all. There ain't a fucking person in this goddamn town. It is me, my dumb ass, and my dumb ass only. That's who's here. And I'm the least qualified person to be reporting about a fucking hurricane, and I'm from goddamn Colorado. I was outside for maximum, 90 seconds, and I am soaked. There's so much water and rain. I'm also standing in my lobby right now. They fully predict that the water is gonna come all the way into the lobby of my building. They moved everything away. They got sandbags. There's nothing here. They warned us, be fully prepared, that they predict there's gonna be like at least 6 inches to like a foot of standing water. And for reference, I was standing right at the base of that. That's the river that I was just standing on. So they fully predict that the river is going to overflow all the way into the lobby of my building. That's how much water they're predicting is going to be here. Hi, I'm Morgan Reeves coming to you.
Woo! So that was her last update, guys. Again, that was at 11:45 this morning. So I think she's underestimating how high that water is going to go. Again, she's not from there. She's from Colorado, like she was saying. And I know she looks like her apartment is really high up, so it probably wouldn't flood up that high. But I would just still be worried about being trapped. I hope she has enough supplies and food and water to last her, because it's probably going to be a while before somebody can get to her. And then on top of that, I told y'all, I would be so scared of gators coming into the building or being brought in by flood water. Like, that'd be my main thing. And it's probably totally illogical, but I have seen some crazy things in videos from Florida, like Texas and those bugs they got in the water. Okay. That bite you. I don't know what they call them. What are they called? Bugs that bite us in the water. You talking about mosquitoes? During Hurricane Helen, those of us who didn't evacuate went to the nearest high schools, and that was a category 4. Surprisingly, gators try their best to avoid people. You rarely hear of gator attacks during floods. Okay, perfect. Yes, because that would be my biggest fear. Drowning in a gator attack. I'm a good swimmer, But then you got to worry about those instances where you get carried along by a flash flood and your like head hits a rock. Now I'm just making up scenarios, but it's possible. And then you're too unconscious to swim. Oh, wow. Guess if you live on Florida coast for 20 years or an island, you learn to adjust. Hi, Carlos. How are you today? Good afternoon, crew. These videos are good. Yeah, thank you so much. This is my first time seeing you in the comments, so welcome. Good to see you here, Carlos. Definitely, but I live closer to Georgia, so we're not on the coast, okay? Sorry, guys. I know I was talking for a minute. Now I got to catch up. Yeah, it was definitely a ghost town where she was at. I wonder why she stayed, and she didn't explain that. But again, guys, let's have empathy for the people who stay, because you never know why. Some people had to stay. If you don't have money to put in your gas tank,